every time we talk about this thing, it seems like the only answer out there is a drug or a vaccine.
Yep.
And I don't understand that, because the best defense against any foreign invader is a strong personal defense system.
Correct. Your army, your immune system.
It's Evie here. Welcome to EML Radio, where we are always talking truth. All of those things you need to hear that nobody else is willing to say.
Welcome back once again to EML Radio. I am here with TJ Williams once again, and we're gonna talk a little bit about COVID. Now, don't disconnect. I promise you, we're not going to bore you to death.
Well, we might.
You might. I don't ever have that problem.
I don't either.
Awesome. No, honestly, I've been, I'm a people watcher, right? I just love to observe people, their behaviors.
You haven't been able to watch many people, have you?
I have. I'm like out and about everywhere, right? Scoping out as anybody I can find. But in all seriousness, I just needed to have someone to actually have some really intelligent, unbiased conversation with.
Sure.
And I know you're that person when it comes to health.
Yep.
Right? Not a political issue, not anything else, just the health effects.
Yep.
And what we're seeing. So I gotta tell you, I am like beyond fucking frustrated.
Okay.
Beyond. Hey, so let me tell you, I don't think I shared this story with you. When we first found out about the coronavirus,
Yep.
I always kind of try to stay on top of what's going on, and then also in any way give something to the general public for free.
Yep.
Right? Like, that's why I'm in the business I'm in. Okay? And so in the first couple of weeks, I took a couple of days, I cleared my schedule and wrote out a really comprehensive, like 6-page guide to boosting your immunity. Just practical, really easy to implement things that people wouldn't be hearing anywhere else. And we put it out there. Put it out there on the website, put it on social media. And I was like, this is going to be great, because this is a really great resource for people. And I had falsely assumed that people were going to take this as a really big wake-up call and realize how much they needed to step up their health and how much they needed to take care of themselves. Like, this is me, like, this is Mary Poppins me. I'm like, everybody's going to start eating real food. Well,
nope. Instead, we make a run on toilet paper.
Yeah. That was exactly it. I'm like, wait, you're buying the wrong things.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But in all seriousness, I gotta tell you, in all my years of coaching, which now we're in the 12, 13 range, this has been the least downloaded ebook or guide we have ever created.
Wow.
Ever in 13 years. So we're in the middle of a complete and utter shitstorm. People are truly freaking out, making all these decisions out of fear. And I provide a free guide, and this is like almost embarrassing. I probably had less than 100 downloads.
Wow.
Like, we're talking worldwide, right? My website's worldwide. Pathetic. And at first it just pissed me off. I was like, you fuckers, I get up every day. I get up every day to help you, and I like clear my schedule for 2 days and spend like 14 hours writing this guide for you, making it look pretty so you enjoy looking at it, and nobody even downloads it. So needless to say, I kind of started this whole thing a little jaded.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But this far into it, we don't have to rehash what's been happening.
Right.
But this far into it, as we start to get somewhat back to normal living, like, I'm seeing things that are just truly like downright startling, right? a lot of people doing things that don't make a difference and completely ignoring the things that will actually make a difference in their health and their ability, should they contract it, for their body's ability to fight it.
Yep. Where to begin?
I left it pretty open for you.
Well,
can you start here?
yeah.
Let us know like your thoughts on it, right? Just like your candid thoughts on the virus, what you think.
Obviously, it's of major concern. It's inundated our news. It's inundated our lives. Right. It's impacted each and every one of us in some way or another, and is probably going to impact us for years to come. Right. That's just the truth of what's going on and the reality of what's going on.
Like it or not, and I don't like it.
Right.
But it is what it is.
And that's your prerogative to not
Right.
like it, and that's okay. But what baffles me are just simple things. Like, I never have claimed to be the smartest guy. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm just a common sense guy from a little bitty tiny town in the middle of nowhere, USA, that just happened to enjoy doing what I do, right? That's just who I am, and I just notice things. And one of the things that I've noticed is that every time we talk about this thing, it seems like the only answer out there is a drug or a vaccine.
Yep.
And I don't understand that, because the best defense against any foreign invader is a strong personal defense system.
Correct. Your army, your immune system.
My
right?
own immune system is going to be the best thing that I can do. So what I don't see is someone talking about the importance of beefing up your own immune system.
Yeah.
Why your vitamin and mineral status is important. Why your water status is important. Why your sleep is important. Why exercise is important. We're not talking about that.
Nobody's talking about it. Literally nobody.
No one. We're sitting here talking about which drug may or may not work.
Right.
Right? And they're arguing and bickering over that. And
Why
then
you should wear a mask, why you shouldn't wear a mask, right? How a mask is just saving everybody's lives around you.
Right. Why you gotta stay 6 feet away from someone.
Right. We're in trouble, dude.
Right. I understand that. But, like, why are we not talking about the importance of our own immune system? Because if my immune system's strong, I can fight off quite a bit.
No shit.
If your immune system's strong, you can fight off quite a bit, right? That's my just common sense look at things.
Yeah.
Of, okay, there are much bigger health-related problems in this world than this.
Yep. I started like digging because I really I have a big voice on social media, and I was like, I'm going to actually put out there the way I really feel about this, and it's not emotional, it's not political, it's nothing, it's all based in facts and how I know the human body works and how your immune system is like absolutely everything, right? And I was looking up some numbers on, just death rates from other things. I was like, did you realize that 2,500 people per day die from heart disease?
Yep.
2,500 people a day. We're not fucking shutting down fast food joints, right?
Nope.
We're not like banning candy and chips and all the other crappy shit people eat that cause heart disease, right? We're not banning cigarettes, right? Which is another one. I gotta share I have some actually really funny observations to share with you as we talk through this. That aren't so funny, they're sad actually, but like they're pretty big wake-up calls for how wrong we have this right now. Okay?
It's the priorities that we have. Our priorities are misplaced when it comes to health and health-related things.
And I think even beyond that is that our perception of what healthy means that, one, I don't have cancer or some other kind of diagnosis, right? Or I'm not morbidly obese. And I say morbidly obese because there's a lot of people walking around with body fat levels that clinically qualify them as obese and they have no idea.
Well, and two, I think we also need to make the distinction that, like, obviously this thing is something. I don't know what. I mean, I'm not an infectious disease doctor. Never have claimed to be. Don't have any clue about that sort of stuff. But what I know is when they made a comment about some young people that have passed because of this thing, and they always place this young healthy person. We don't know that they were healthy.
No, we don't.
They might have been young, but they may not have been healthy. And like, we have no idea to say physiologically that anyone is healthy. I have a lot of people that come to see me that are amazing. They're at the top of their line of work. They're high operators. They're doing lots of things. They're very successful, and they feel great. Literally sit in a chair in the room with me and say, I just want you to check and see, anything. I feel amazing. I don't think anything's wrong. I just want to double check and get a baseline for moving forward to where I can be the best me possible. I hear that a lot. And then we get their labs back and we find out that they're physiological nightmares.
Right.
They have raging cardiovascular disease. Their vitamin D is in the tank. They have no vitamin C in their system. Their body can't process anything. Their livers don't work right. Their kidneys are less than optimal function. Their hormone levels in the complete tank,
Yep.
but they feel fine.
Yep.
Like, we can't, young is not synonymous with health.
Correct.
It just isn't.
It just isn't. Right.
And especially in today's day and age.
No,
It
and
just isn't.
I tout it all the time that nor is someone's just outward physical appearance.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Like,
There are a
and
lot
that
of,
is one factor. I talk about all the time the 8 areas of optimal wellness and all the places that I guide people in, right? And physicality is one of those.
Right.
Right? And we talked about it earlier in an earlier episode, environmental, right? Spiritual, emotional, mental health, right?
All-
Occupational health, societal, right?
everything.
Yeah.
It's
So we've got a big misconception on, for one, what does it mean to be healthy?
Yes.
So what I want our listeners to be able to take away is that you need to step back and go okay, how are you defining health? Right? Because I always like to leave people with something tangible,
right.
And you really need to ask yourself, how am I gauging my overall health? And then do you really know that you're healthy?
Right. That's the thing. Do you really know that you're healthy? And it just so happens that I am an expert in physiologic health. I can look at someone's physiology, what's going on with their cells, what's going on with their body, what's going on with their levels, and help them become the best physical specimens that they can be from a physiologic functioning standpoint. I am not the person to help you with your mental game, right? That's not me.
Right.
I can notice patterns and thought patterns and belief patterns and things that may be hindering your physiologic health, and can encourage you for, hey, you know what, it might not be a bad idea if you see a life coach or this or a therapist or that. It doesn't matter, whatever. You may need help here. That's not what I do. I'm very good at what I do, right? But that's just, like you said, that's just part of it. We need someone that can help us recognize other areas of our life that matter.
And to make sure that they're all optimally functioning.
Yes.
Right? Not just, am I getting by?
Correct.
And I think that we're at a place, and this actually saddens me, right? There was a couple of weeks where I felt just entirely defeated. I was I don't even know why I wake up every day and do this shit. It's just not getting through, right? And then I'm well, you do it because you know you're made to do it. It has nothing to do with anybody else.
Right.
But we're accepting a level of just mediocrity, right? And just getting by instead of looking for optimal in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And
to me, I think we have our entire culture is infused with this lack of personal responsibility.
100%.
That's
right?
To me, it's what it boils down to. Everyone wants to blame someone else for their plot in life, no matter what it is. And I stick in my physiology realm. Everyone wants to blame their being overweight on their parents being overweight. They want to blame their thyroid problem on their family's thyroid problem. They want to blame their bad eating habits on their family's bad eating habits. They want to blame everything on someone else. People want to point the finger at everyone else. Yeah, but this. Yeah, but that. Yeah, but. You know what? You got to step up and take responsibility for yourself.
Correct.
Be empowered enough to take care of yourself and do the things that you know are important for you. And if you don't know, that's why they have people like you.
Right, to help educate.
That's right, putting you in the right direction. Sometimes all you gotta do is point someone in the right direction and say, hey, this is where you need to go. And they gotta take it from there. You've gotta be willing, right? I will help you to the fullest capacity that I can, but you gotta be willing to help yourself.
And we're just not seeing it.
No.
We've been traveling a bunch because we've got business going on in
Right.
Las Vegas, and like I'm going to continue to travel. Right. I don't see myself at a huge risk. If I were to get it, like I would most likely be able to fight it. Right. It's like it is what it is, and that's my choice to do that.
Right.
I also refuse to wear a mask. This is just me personally, right? Because for one, I know what it does to your central nervous system when you just see someone with a face covering on. We are not wired to look at other people and not be able to see half of their faces. And that's something no one has ever even said, right? I've never heard it spoken, but it's true. Am I right?
It is true.
Right? Central nervous system instantly is just like, whoa, why does that
It's an alert.
It is an alert, right? So I view it as fear-mongering. Now, if people want to wear them, like, do what you want. But I gotta tell you, in all this traveling I've been doing and watching people, for one in Las Vegas, walking through hotels and casinos, and for one, if you're really scared, I promise you don't really need to be walking around Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, right? If I was scared, that would be the last place I would be, right? I would be at home.
Home, that's right.
But watching people walk around, pull their mask down, and stop to have a cigarette.
I love it. Love it.
Like,
Love it. Brilliant.
because it isn't a respiratory issue, right? Like, you've heard some things on the news about this, like, causing lung problems for you, right?
Wow.
You should probably smoke and pull your mask down.
Yeah.
Right? That was the first bit when we were first traveling, and then when we were flying over here to St. Louis, there was a gal sitting across from us, and I sound like a stalker, but I'm just an observer. I'm a sociologist by trade. Like, that's what I studied, right? Mm-hmm. So I love people and I love to watch people. And watching this gal, and for one, it makes me sad that there's just kind of an overall sense of fear, right? People are very skeptical of one another, and human beings, we are social creatures.
We're not wired like that.
We're not wired to fear one another,
Mm-hmm.
right? So anyway, that makes me sad, but I'm watching this gal across the aisle from us, and she has on, a medical mask, and then she has on some kind of homemade jobby mask over it. So she's got two masks on, and then in addition to it, she has on a pair of gloves. She's digging through her purse, which the glove thing, I'll tell you another story in just a minute, because this is a really good one from last night at dinner. But anyway, so she digs through her purse and pulls out a bag of some kind of candy. Okay?
Awesome.
And she literally, I'm not exaggerating, like, if you're only listening to the audio version of this, you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm pulling down my mask with one hand, and with my dirty gloved hand that I'm on an airplane with, I'm digging through my purse, touching everything on the plane, picking up candy, putting it in my mouth, and then covering my face back up with my mask.
It's so glorious.
Right? I mean, like, you can't make this shit up. It's like it should be on Saturday Night Live, right? And some people are listening to go like, well, that's really mean. She just doesn't know. I'm like, oh, come on. I don't care who you are. You know that eating candy isn't good for you. Fuck that, right?
And you know that you shouldn't be eating candy with your guy. If you're worried about anything, you can't be wearing a dirty glove, eating candy, pulling your mask down. Like, come on.
I know. I was like, I'm losing brain cells just by watching this thing unfold. And it gets better. So last night, we get in late, we go out for dinner. And this is something that I'm hoping someone in the restaurant industry really does reach out to me and tries to give me some kind of logical explanation about this. So the glove thing. Long story short, we have to wear a mask in order to get to our table. They require it when we walk in order to sit down. Right? So we're like, fine, we're complying because it's their establishment. They get to choose that, right? Yep. And we're traveling, we don't have a choice. If it was at home, we wouldn't have been in there. So we sit down, we're able to take off our masks then because we've got to eat. And our waiter the whole entire hour and a half that we were in there. He had the same gloves on. He cleared other people's dishes from their table, put them back in the kitchen, came out, brought us a glass of wine with these same gloves. Now think about that. He's just touched plates. We're also worried, but now you just took germs from that person's table and you brought them to my table. And then he picked up stuff from our table, put it back, went to another table, got them their cappuccinos. He's now touching the handle of their mug, right? All this whole entire 90 minutes with the same dirty gloves on. Right? And then he runs their credit card, which we all know. I mean, think about how many places your credit card goes, right? Yuck, who wants to touch that thing? He's taking everybody's credit card, running it through the credit card machine, bringing it back to their table. Right?
Interesting.
So wouldn't we all feel better if that person just actually went and washed their hands between each interaction at each individual table?
Yes.
Because if the reasoning behind it was, well, he could have COVID, well, there's a lot more risk in him spreading germs from every single person's table that comes in there all shift long, right? With the same fucking gloves on, never washing them. Right?
It's disturbing.
It's so disturbing to me because it just lacks so much common sense, right? Which is what we're missing here. It's like, can we step back and...
If you think about it, his hands were clean on the inside, or so we think. So that's where you run into, like, his hands were clean on the inside, so he's not thinking about the glove being dirty on the outside. He's thinking about his own hands being clean.
Correct, because they had a dispenser sitting at the end. It was like at a pizza place, and they had a dispenser of hand sanitizer sitting like up where they expedite food out of there. But he never once used it. Because you know, it's not this kid's fault, right? He's just doing what he's told, right? He just needs a job. That's great. He's happy to be working again. But he never once used that hand sanitizer on those gloves because in his view, you're exactly right. He had clean hands.
That's right. They were perfectly clean. And he took his gloves off and didn't wash his hands and went on home and did his own thing. Sounds about right.
And the only reason I even point this out, guys, is that we really need to step back a second, right? We're arguing about whether someone should have gloves on or whether someone should wear a mask, the benefit of the mask versus the risks of the mask. We're arguing about all this shit, but nobody's actually just stopping for 2 seconds and thinking logically, right? And to the next level, taking responsibility for improving your own health. Because this isn't it, right? In our life, things like this have happened before, and things like this are going to continue to happen, right? It's the world we live in. This isn't going away.
Oh, we've had the plague.
Right?
They had the plague back in the day. So, you're right. It's people are not thinking about a lot of stuff logically. And I think you're right. I think a lot of this, the fear, people are just scared because they don't know all the information. They're just hearing information all day, every time you flip on the news. It's breaking news. It's this, it's that. It's just, people are scared.
They are scared.
And I empathize with that fear.
Oh, absolutely. I
really
laugh
do.
about it. I laugh about some of the things I see because it just blows my mind. But I wouldn't even be talking about it if I didn't give a shit about it.
Right.
And I really do, because like the last thing I want to see is just people walking around in fear of one another. And the reality is, in fear of their own life, people really are scared and don't know. Right? So that's why I want to talk with you about some things people can do that make sense, that actually will benefit them, and that will improve their health. Because we both know that like that's the answer. It's not a vaccine.
Correct.
Right? It's not a vaccine, guys.
It's not a medication.
Nope.
It's not. It's making yourself the strongest version of you can.
Correct.
And the two things that you can start with that don't cost you anything is sleep enough, get adequate levels of sleep, and drink enough water. We are chronically dehydrated in this society, in this world. No one realizes how much water we truly have to drink on a daily basis to actually be hydrated. Because, newsflash, you don't get credit for the amount of water you drink. you only get credit for the amount of water you absorb.
Correct. And most people don't realize that just like a lack of minerals, right?
Right.
Like inhibits that absorption.
That's right. So, from there, once you have worked on the sleep and you're drinking more fluids, more water. Water is the only thing that counts. Maybe green tea. Some people argue that green tea will count. I tell people if it's not water, it doesn't count.
Yeah, you and me both.
That's
like
just
if water doesn't need to be flavored. Stop asking me bullshit like that. It's
right.
like just fucking drink water.
Just
You're a
drink
human being,
water.
You're meant to drink water.
That's
period.
right.
You don't like the taste, we'll get used to it. There's a lot of things you don't like. Truly, you can see how sympathetic I am.
Yeah.
It's just one of those kind of silly things to me. Like fundamentally, come on, right?
True. After that, like the simple things I tell people to stick with, vitamin D. Vitamin D is always been important. I've said this before, I'll say it again. The national average for vitamin D is 27. The low medical limit is 30.
Wow.
From the national standpoint, we are on average deficient in vitamin D. Now, most of the health benefits don't come until vitamin D gets up over 50, 65-ish, somewhere in that range. Different researchers argue different values there, but significantly higher than 30. And so if we can do things to get our vitamin D up, and now you're starting to see research come out that's looking at this whole virus with the vitamin D status, and they're showing that people that had more complications had lower levels of vitamin D, and it makes sense. Vitamin D is extremely important for our immune system. And so making sure that we have adequate levels of vitamin D is important.
How do you recommend people get it? Because I think
Vitamin
there's
D?
confusion there too.
Yes.
People just take a supplement, they just think that they're fine and go about their business.
Right. And then unfortunately, not all vitamin D is created equal. It needs to be vitamin D3, and it actually needs to be some reputable source. You really truly get what you pay for.
Mm-hmm.
In full disclosure, I own my own supplement company, so I'm not going to throw out any names.
Sure.
I just keep it pretty simple. But there are forms of vitamin D and types of vitamin D out there that are just not absorbable. I mean, I'm sorry, if you're going and spending $5 on a bottle of vitamin D for 90 pills, you're wasting your money.
Right.
You've got to make sure that you have a very high quality source, and it really truly you need to research that. And if you need more information on that, shoot me an email. We'll give information for me later.
Okay.
Shoot me an email, I'll tell you where to go to actually get a quality vitamin D.
And what about from sunshine? Right?
So
what are your thoughts on that?
That's interesting. I don't think that we get enough sunshine in this country. There's some research out there that suggests that unless you live the latitude that connects Atlanta, Dallas, and Phoenix. Most people don't realize those are all on the same latitude line. If you don't live south of there, the sun doesn't actually have the power to do what it needs to do. I've heard that argument.
I've heard that same thing.
Maybe that's true, maybe that's not. But what I can say is vitamin D, you don't get vitamin D from the sunlight. What sunlight does is it activates your body to make it. But what if you didn't have the raw materials in your body to actually make it in the first place?
Ah, gotcha.
Most people don't have everything that's actually needed to make vitamin D. One of the big things that's needed to make vitamin D is proper levels of fats in your system. And I mean, I run lots of blood work on people. Very rarely does someone have enough omega-3 levels in their body to actually matter.
Right.
And so it's not that going out and hanging out in the sun can't be beneficial. Mm-hmm. It is. But it's not going to be enough to give you your vitamin D that you're wanting. Like, I've done lots of testing on lots of people. The only people that don't take vitamin D supplements that actually have vitamin D levels that I would consider adequate, they've all been track athletes. Every one of them. They're out in the sun multiple hours a day wearing very, very minimal amounts of clothing. I don't know if you guys have been to a track meet or not. If you haven't, both the men and women wear outfits about the size of a saltine cracker, and that's what they run around in all day. And they're very tan, and they have much better levels of vitamin D. So I just don't think that we have the raw materials to get 15 minutes of sunshine on your face and arms. That's not going to be enough.
Right.
It's just not. And so we have people supplementing all the time, and so that's where I go from a vitamin D standpoint. I just don't think that we don't get enough sun, we don't have enough raw materials to actually make it, in a nutshell. After vitamin D, I talk about vitamin C. It's extremely important for immune function. And I think a lot of people, I think vitamin C kind of gets misquoted and doesn't get the credit that it really deserves. So I think a lot of times with vitamin C, like researchers or people reporting research, they want to say, well, vitamin C hasn't ever been proven to do anything. Well, maybe that's right. If you're looking for vitamin C, if you've got a bug, virus, bacteria, it doesn't matter, and you're looking to put vitamin C on that bug and kill that bug, it's probably not going to be very effective.
Right.
But if you put an antibiotic on that bug, it might kill it, right? That's what it's designed to do.
Right.
But what they don't talk about and what we don't measure are all the downstream effects that come from having adequate levels of vitamin C. That's where the immune benefit is. But that is extremely difficult to test, because now you're talking about testing all the cells of the immune system and how they function. They all function better with high levels of vitamin C in your system. So that's why I think, like, don't just buy into the hype of, well, vitamin C's never been proven to do anything. Well, that's because there's not an ability to look at how it works. We know all of these downstream effects, and if these things happen, we know how that impacts the immune system, right? We're not stupid. We can infer and say, hey, you know what? If this is going on, awesome, our immune system's operating better. The objective is to make our immune system operate at its highest level. And vitamin C will do that. It's just not necessarily immediate on the bug. Its downstream effects are what matter.
And supplementation there, if someone, let's talk about, is that one of those things that through diet, right, that you can be getting adequate amounts of? Not the average American, right, but someone that is eating optimally.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. I mean, you have to assume that their optimal gut function, that they're getting, I mean, there's an institute at Oregon State. They've actually done all the research on it. Linus Pauling Institute at Oregon State University. They actually figured out what the ideal level of vitamin C supplementation is per person for an adult, which is significantly higher than the recommended daily allowance of 90 milligrams. I forget exactly off the top of my head. It's in the ballpark of 2,500 milligrams per day.
Oh, got it.
So that's the equivalent of 25 oranges per day.
Like, and who's going to do that?
No, exactly.
No. Right.
And so that's why I'm like, okay, well, supplementation with vitamin C it's kind of a no-brainer.
Okay.
So that's what we recommend. I recommend people get a couple grams of vitamin C a day.
Okay.
In general. Occasionally there's someone who can't handle that level of vitamin C, but it's not often.
Okay.
Still check with whoever taking care of you for sure. And then another one that I think is important for immune function from a dietary supplement standpoint is zinc. I think zinc is extremely important, but you have to be careful with zinc. Zinc is this delicate balance with this other mineral, copper. And if you get way too much zinc, you can throw copper out of balance. And if you don't have enough zinc, you can throw copper out of balance. So you don't just go willy-nilly with zinc and start adding lots and lots of zinc. And you gotta have someone in your corner that understands what's going on and making sure not to throw anything out of balance there. Those are the big three that I go after. There's a couple others that I find that can be very beneficial in certain circumstances for the right person. I like colostrum powder. I think colostrum is a fantastic immune modulating, meaning if your immune system is overactive, it can calm it down. If it's underactive, it can bring it up. I'm very particular on colostrum powders. It's not for everyone, but it's something that I take every day and will always take every day. My children take this. My kids are 1 and 2, and they take this every day. That's how important I think it is. And so that's something that is I encourage people to do. And lastly, another one is, and this is just kind of like, it's not a long-term take it every day kind of thing, but it can be very beneficial, is some sort of colloidal silver type of product. I like Argentin 23. It's a professional line of what some people may be more familiar with, Sovereign Silver. The product Sovereign Silver, which is sold in pretty much every health care health food store across the country, or vitamin shop, they carry Sovereign Silver. Argentin 23 is just the stronger version of that.
Got it.
And that's something that I like keep in my cupboard as an as needed. If I feel a sniffle, I'll take a little bit of that per bottle directions typically. Don't get too crazy with it, and I don't take it long term. It's not something I take every single day, but I think it's a good thing to have on hand. That's typically where I go. I mean, you can dive into this and get really deep and into fine-tuning someone's need for supplements or for immune function. I mean, there's all kinds of other things that can be very beneficial, but those are general things that for the most part aren't going to hurt anyone if they're not going crazy taking high doses of things, all at once.
And I want to stress to everybody that these things do not mean that you don't need to be eating the right foods.
That's correct.
Because this is like always an area that I always is like, okay, supplementation is outside of my lane, right? It's not something I'm well versed in. I don't claim to be,
sure.
Right? I find people like you that are.
Sure.
But I just, I always get so gun shy with these people because it's like, okay, well, I'll just take this and then I'm still gonna pull my mask down and eat fucking Hershey's.
Yep.
Right?
And
so it's like those don't trump a good diet.
Not at all.
Right?
And that's the key to it. It's a dietary supplement. I mean, it's in addition to your proper diet.
Yeah, I always refer to it as this is your salt and pepper.
That's right.
Right? It's like you got to get this base of really good quality foods and get all the inflammatory shit out.
Correct.
Right? Like this morning at Starbucks, it was another example, right? Poor gal, she walks in and she looks like she's petrified and she just can't stand my husband and I because we don't have our masks on. You can tell she's just irritated with us and afraid of us. But she goes up and we're ordering a black coffee with whole cream in it, right? Like that's it. Mm-hmm. And she walks up and she gets some bright pink, sweet, syrupy, right? You can feel how much cane syrup and other shit is in that. Artificial colors, right? Carcinogenics in that thing, and then on top of it, she orders a side of whipped cream. And I literally just wanted to fucking shake her.
She needed
you don't need to be afraid of me. You need to be afraid of the shit you're about to drink.
She needed a side of sugar to go with her sugar.
Oh my god.
I'll have sugar with a side of sugar, please.
And another guy, this is hysterical. He literally ordered a coffee and said, and I need Splenda. And she was like, okay. And he said, 8 of them.
8?
For one, if you tried to drink something with 8 Splenda in it, do you want to know what Splenda tastes like? It is so sweet. 8 of them. And when he was adjusting his mask and figuring everything out, stirring his coffee, he had a fucking cigar sitting next to it.
Awesome.
He was a construction worker that was out there. Coffee with 8 Splenda and a cigar. Casey was like,
it's the breakfast of champions.
good morning. That's gonna make you feel like a champ all day.
Well, at least until 9:30. And then you gotta do it again.
And then you gotta do it again, another 8 Splenda.
Yeah.
But anyway, I really do want to, we'll end it on that note.
Sure.
That people gotta get the sugar out.
Yes.
Right? In addition to everything that TJ has talked about today,
sugar impacts your immune system so negatively. It's just dragging it into the depths every time you consume it. That's the thing that you gotta remember. You can do all of this work and do all of the right diet and be taking the right supplementation. And if you eat sugar, it's like you did nothing.
And so many people, there's a lot of people listening that go, well, I would never do that. I don't eat bags of Hershey's and I don't have 8 Splenda in my coffee. But there's so many hidden sugars and things.
Yes.
I went through a period of 3 years tracking all my food, right, when I was competing. And it was really hard. If I ate anything packaged, it was really hard to stay under 50 grams. Mm-hmm. And that meant even if I had some organic ketchup on something, right? Right there I was at 18 grams of sugar. Mm-hmm. It's hidden in everything you consume, I promise you.
And alcohol is a very highly refined sugar.
And this is actually kind of a sad implication of this. Keeping people at home, not allowing them to socialize, high stress, people are losing their job, right? People are fearing for their health. And then what do? You sit down and you drink at home.
And how do we know that this happened? Because online alcohol sales skyrocketed.
So here are people at home destroying their immune system, right? Hiding out from this very kind of unknown
Situation.
right?
Yep.
So get the sugars out,
Sleep. Drink enough water.
Good supplementation,
Use
vitamin
common
D,
sense.
and please start using some common sense. Like if I can leave you with one truth today, it would be that you really can think for yourself. Right? And it's empowering to think for yourself, and it is very empowering to take care of your own body.
Yes.
And when you do that, I promise you, you will naturally not be living in fear.
Well said.
Got it. Awesome. You're the best.
Thank you. Oh,
Thanks for, go ahead.
everyone, if you want to find more information about me,
Oh yeah, definitely.
our website is inhstl.com. Stands for the Institute of Natural Health. We're in St. Louis.
Okay.
inhstl.com. Shoot me an email. I'm usually the one to respond, so
Perfect.
happy to hear from you.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Yep,
Appreciate
bye.
it. All right, bye-bye.